already going. So, yes, and they've missed 15 minutes of it. Well, welcome, guys. Thank y'all for coming to Spray Wash Academy. We are. I'm Ray Burke. We're don't blah blah. Cannot talk.
Blah, 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 blah. And I'm Doug Gore. And it's funny when you said welcome. This might show my age. What I heard in my brain was welcome to the big blue house. Welcome.
Yeah, you're old.
Well, that was for my kids, So.
And so you are sitting there in hurricane ravaged, Louisiana.
There's one of my big trees that split right there in the background. That one there is, let's see if I can do it right there. That one split like 15 feet up or so or something like that. But anyhow. Yep. I'm outside doing the live instead of in my little studio because I have no power. I have no internet. And it's hot in that house, let me tell you.
Woo, baby.
We got generators flowing, but keeping everything else cool. So
that is like one of God's cruel jokes right there.
Oh,
where
absolutely.
They made the power go out in they made hurricane season in the worst months of the year to not have power.
Yeah. And it's probably going to be, as they say, weeks before it gets back on. And everybody here is trying to be as optimistic as possible, which I appreciate, I understand, but they're not being realistic. Like they've said that, because the power company was literally on the street right beside us, the main street, working. And so everybody's like, oh yeah, they're going to have us on the next day because they had a whole bunch of trucks in the area. And I'm like, no, what they're doing is they're fixing the main lines.
Yeah.
They're getting power to the hospitals and to the old folks homes and to the schools and to the, churches and to the grocery stores. They're not worried about your house yet.
Yeah. They're still
the next thing you know, all those trucks that were here are gone.
I mean, they're probably literally assessing damage still at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
What do we need to fix versus, hey, let's go fix this.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, and for those of you that have listened to us many times, talk about a gentleman by the name of Scott Torsey all the time. And Scott actually has
joined us on here.
I think he's got 30 trucks. I think he was going to have 50 trucks is what he was going to have out here. And he's got so somewhere between 20 and 50 trucks out here in the area right now. I think they were working in my area. Now they're working in New Orleans. And Scott needs to learn how to drive in case Scott's listening. And he's going to say it wasn't him. It was somebody else. But I get the phone call. Hey, you got a good tow truck company? And
nice.
They here in Louisiana, we've got the road and then we got a ditch. And then we got driveways, and between the driveway and it's a ditch. And so he put a nice $500,000 machine in the ditch. Of course, he says it was one of his employees, but
Yep. That's funny. It is what it is, It is what it is.
So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about HOAs, and you've got a big HOA.
That was kind of a topic. Yeah, I'm just in the middle of an HOA project, and but hey, we can talk about we can still talk about hurricane relief efforts and things like that. It seems like most of the washers that I communicate with, some of them are still gone, but I know David Rivas, he got, the great news that, his house wasn't flooded. The neighborhood was. Yeah, his street was, but his neighborhood wasn't. And I think Stephen Venturi's okay. And I think Chet's okay, but golly, I mean, if you didn't see Monday's broadcast, and you've been affected by the hurricane, I highly recommend you go back and look at that because we really, dropped some nuggets there. And hey, TJ, what's happening, buddy? We're talking about what happens when your business gets into a natural disaster like this. I mean, and this could happen all up and down the eastern seaboard, the Gulf Coast. I mean, it can be devastating, but it's a unique pivot point too.
Yeah. Well, even I happened to see one of the guys on the road the other day or today. I saw his truck on the road, and so I called him just to find out how he made out. And he's driving to Lafayette, which is about an hour and 15 minutes away. He's going to drive over there, I think, tomorrow. He's taking a 300-gallon tank, and he's going to fill up with gas and bring it back. And it's a good sense of community as well, where he's like, man, if you guys need some fuel, I'm going to have that 300 gallons. I'm going to get it all, and that kind of thing. So, and haul it back, and it's actually not. Even though we're pretty devastated here in this area, it's really we have a real good sense of community here. And I know I have been asked about donations and that sort of thing, and I would like to say that if you would like to donate to help me, I would prefer that you donate to Chris Coons. We're going to have him on Monday, and I would rather see money go to Chris. He broke his ankle and is kind of out of work, and his wife had just quit working and went to work for his company for him, and so they took a big leap of faith, and they could use a little bit of
put all their eggs in one basket. And in fact, I called him the other day to check on him, and he was there on crutches on a job site trying to trying to work. I mean, God bless him. But it's scary because, we sit there and say, oh, go work with your spouse. And it's the most wonderful thing. But whenever you put all your eggs in one basket, and that's one of the reasons that we sit there and say, get some kind of insurance policy. I don't care if it's Aflac or a real extensive prudential policy,
business disruption insurance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even like Rich and Maria just said, where they're saying, Lisa had posted something about 4 foot of water in their parking lot. That is from Hurricane Ida, I believe.
Yeah. I've been off of Facebook ever since I did my espresso thing this morning. I haven't been on Facebook because I was in the truck a great deal today and been running like crazy. And then
I think what happened was Ida came through. It hit Louisiana, but then it took all that rain and all that other stuff up there to, the Pennsylvania region, and, hit them with tornadoes and water and all that. So they were without power, and I caught that. I don't catch much because I don't have internet and I don't have power. So I'm doing all this stuff like right now off of my phone. So even it's affecting some of the stuff with getting you going on pro and the courses and stuff. So if you've reached out to me, I apologize if I haven't responded. Just don't have that.
And I still owe a couple of people emails from Monday, and I haven't had a chance to even get on it because I know I was going to share that YouTube video out about the claim jumper, the criminal trespass guy. And oh, hey, speak of the devil, there's Chris right now. I haven't even had a chance to get those out. It's been one of those weeks so far, and today, and then I've got to be in Jacksonville tomorrow and do another truck trade out. We're getting our third Crystal Clean truck. So
that's awesome.
That's exciting.
It builds some big trucks and good trucks. That's for sure.
Well, part of the irony of this one is, so you're right. They build amazing trucks. And part of the reason their trucks are the way they are is that they have the belief that everything has its place. If you use a fire hose, it's going to have a fire hose holder on there. It's going to have a surface cleaner holder on there. It's going to have a ladder rack. It's going to have 5-gallon bucket holders on there. Everything has a place, and it needs that. Because think about it. That is something that employees are actually really bad about doing, is just slinging crap into the back of the truck or in the trailer, and then it gets damaged and it gets lost.
Right.
But also with the size of their trucks, we have some regular maintenance accounts that have fairly low hung garages, and their big trucks won't fit into these low garages.
Right. No way to get them things.
They're
going to have to build some smaller rigs or maintain the rigs that you've got just to be able to fit inside some of those.
Mm-hmm.
So interestingly enough,
shorter one.
And this kind of goes along with the HOAs. And a lot, sometimes we talk about the size of your company and what are your goals and what are you trying to do, whether you want to stay as a one truck or you want to get up to 30 trucks. I can tell you, even like with some of the HOAs and all that, you get to a certain point, they do not want, I'll say spray wash. They don't want a company like Spray Wash. They want a company like Crystal Clean.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with, I was just talking about Scott. Scott has a large company, and sometimes they want to deal with these larger companies, even though they know it costs them more. They also know that there's a lot of backing behind that, and the odds of potential for problems and that are much lower. So even though it costs them more money, so you have to think about those things too. And some of the HOAs actually want a larger company, from what I found.
It's funny that on the videos, like I have shot videos from here all the way down to here. So that's, anywhere from 5-minute long videos to 30-second videos. And that's 5 across times a grid of 5. So 25 videos. And we're actually going to go and compile those into a class on Spray Wash Academy, because, the HOAs are one of the things that it's a special, it's a special thing to do in there, and you're right. Sometimes you need the bigger companies so you can get in and get out. Actually a friend of mine took one away. Well, actually, he didn't take one away because they said they must have gotten about 20 competing bids on it, a place called King's Mill. And it's funny because we're having other, washers talk, and we're having all these people sit there and say, we're getting bids and this and that. And we actually saw, instead of even doing it the cool way, they literally sent out like a mail CC'd with everybody they were requesting bids for. That's how I know that it was like 20 people they were requesting bids for. And we just, we had washed that neighborhood either 2 or 3 times in the past and wrote back, we declined to bid. You know what our price is, and we've provided you. We weren't very nice to the people. He's like, you know what our price is. We've provided you amazing service in the past, and you're still going out and getting bids. Remove us from your bid list.
Yeah,
not going to play that. And and ironically, we've been in there now 4 times in the past 2 weeks. Fixing errors and the guy that washed was actually he's a friend of mine. The guy that got the contract, he's a friend. He's a very competent washer, but we've been in there 4 times in the last week washing vinyl windows, those horrific vinyl windows, and
ones that have had problems that you knew about and he didn't.
Yeah. And he spotted them up, and I don't think they're going after him or anything on that, but the people are coming in and they're unhappy that their vinyl windows are spotted up, and it's known with the neighbors that we actually know how to fix that issue. And we have gone in there and fixed that issue for 4 houses now, but they're pissed off, and rightfully so. And I feel bad for him, but these vinyl windows are one of those things that if you don't do it right, you're going to leave spots on it, Yeah. And then there is a process to go and clean it,
Mm-hmm. Well, and just like Tom said, that, one of these things when you go into these bids, especially for like HOAs and the different property manager type place, I don't think it's as prevalent with the HOAs as it is with property managers. Property managers in general is that they can switch out every 6 months or couple of years, year, 2 years. You may not be dealing with the same property manager.
Well, and part of the problem on this one, and there's lots of HOA. We do a ton of HOA work. I mean, we're over six figures this year for HOA work already, and just HOA work. And there are HOAs that have management companies that manage the HOA. This is a particular HOA that only has about 30 or 40 houses in there, and they choose to self-manage. And we elect our president, we elect our vice president, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes those are the worst ones to work for, quite frankly, because they're trying to self-manage this in their own way. Hey, buddy, come on in. They're trying to self-manage this in their own way, and they're just not very good at it. And, and these guys will be, penny wise and pound foolish in that respect. I mean, let's face it, it gives no loyalty whatsoever. In fact, Henry from Big Ben Pro Wash, I think I'm forgetting I'm having
Henry Voigt?
Huh?
Henry Voigt?
Yeah, Henry Vogt. They actually split it up and they did sidewalks and curbs separately from the houses. He got that bid earlier this year, which is another one we had done before. And, it really it inspires zero confidence in the association and the washer that, oh, we got your back, whenever they're just shopping you around like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why do you want to go the extra mile for them if you literally know you're just a number to them?
Right.
Yeah.
It makes you not want to go the extra mile.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ryan had said he teams up with a friend, 2 one-man companies, and gotten 4 HOA accounts this season.
Can you just say hold on real quick?
Okay. Hold on real quick. Yes.
Can you come unlock the door?
I can't. Buddy, I can't. I can't. Whenever Mommy and Gammy comes in, they can, okay? Okay.
Oh, Gammy's not here.
Oh, Gammy's not here yet?
She's
Okay.
She's in ear.
Let me go unlock the door then. Hold on.
No,
There you go. The another thing about the HOAs while he's gone there is that, on some of them, especially the one, well, actually, I guess it really doesn't even matter. One of the things that I found with HOAs is that they can be very particular on, we only want this done or we only want that done. They'll come in and they'll say, we just want the sidewalks done, or we just want the curbing done, and we don't want the sidewalks, or we want the homeowners to pay for, the sidewalks and all, or their own driveways. So they can be funny in how they want things done to begin with.
Right. 100%. There's, I was reading what Ryan had said, gotten 4 HO accounts. I definitely owe a big thanks to you both. And, that's smart, because your one-man companies. HOAs are one of those things that, I'm not trying to sound elitist there. Team up with somebody. I mean, that's a huge mistake that so many guys make, of trying to go out there and do this without a helper or do it by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. It really is tough. And that's another reason that networking is so important. Chris Coons just said, hey, he and Frank Mullen, they team up. They work together all the time. This doesn't have to be an adversarial relationship with all the other washers. I mean, you find a guy has your same work ethic and get on it, Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing about when we talk about, building relationships with other washers in your area. I've had the question posed to me, from some larger companies, and they'll say, like, how many trucks do you have? Because of the size of the job. Mm-hmm. And I'll even say something along the lines of, how many do you need? I mean, I can have 30, 40 trucks here next week. It's not a problem.
Absolutely.
Because of the relationships that you build.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's one of those things, so many guys, how do you find the people to speak with about acquiring HOA accounts? What's the process? Well, find HOA managers, I mean, there's lots of, and that's something we'll be going over in our class, but, I'll give you a hint. I mean, in Florida, you have to register, that has to be a corporation, and the Secretary of State has they have to file an annual report, and you go to the Secretary of State's office and you can find the sitting board of every HOA, association that's in Florida. But then,
look, Brandon,
Huh?
You can even, if you get involved with like the BNI groups, Business Networking International, that's not HOAs, but there's a reason I bring that up. The barter networks, the BNI groups, the trade groups, those kinds of things, realtors tend to live in HOA communities.
Mhm.
And believe it or not, those guys that are super active also tend to either be on the board of their HOA or they tend to be the president, vice president of their HOA. So get involved with like BNI groups or get involved with local chamber, excuse me, get involved with the local groups and community groups, that kind of thing, because they all tend to live in the HOAs.
That's got to be David Rivas probably making that comment that him and Stephen Venturi are always networking on large scale projects. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, golly, in fact, it actually expands your reach to things that you've never done before. I mean, now you've got a partner in the business that you can partner up with and do these larger projects out there.
I will say that David and Stephen are probably, when I think of competitors doing it correctly, I think of David and Stephen. I mean, they're in our area. I mean, they're 2 hours away from us or an hour and a half away from us, but they are two that are competitors that work together routinely, and they work well together, and they've built a relationship with each other. They know what to expect of each other. And that is the way to do it correctly, in my opinion, if you're going to be at that level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You don't have to be the massive company, but you do need to be the big enough to handle the project. Okay. I'm not big enough to handle the project. I'll partner with somebody else and I'll be big enough then, because, something I know that we've talked about over in Pro before. I always try to bring the business, the information there first and let it season for about a year before we share it out publicly. But, the business displacement, because a lot of guys will sit there and say, man, it'd be my dream come true if I could get a $20,000 HOA. How awesome would that be if I can get a $20,000 HOA project? I am just going to rock that crap. Well, if you're a busy company, if you have, and it's going to be an 8-day project. So what is that coming up? $1,400 a day or something, 7-day project. It doesn't matter. But it can be more of an inconvenience. And I don't mean to say that money is an inconvenience, but whenever you're out there keeping 3 trucks busy each and every day, to go and have to suck out 7, 8, 9, 10 days on a project can actually be, more of an inconvenience. You can lose more money than that $20,000 if you're banging out, consistently $2,000 house days. Like we've said this before, like in the spring, you would never want to go, if you're a busy company, go and book an HOA in the spring. I had one this year, and they did it every year. I would tell them I will not do it anymore, except the lady sends me $75,000, $100,000 a year in HOA work. So, and this HOA demands that it gets done in March. It is such a nightmare. This is 180 something houses. It's a nightmare to do it every March. Every March, it's a freaking nightmare.
Well, and that's another thing with that is if the HOA is concerned with pricing so much, right? It is one of those things where you can throw out, we can do a different price. If they throw out to you about, hey, we don't like your price of $20,000, work with us at all. That's where you can throw it out, sure, but not this time of year.
Right.
I can work with you on price.
Yeah.
Later. Yeah.
November's looking real good for us, especially, the northern guys out there. We're banging, 24/7, 365. So, Truth Seeker just made an amazing point there. My favorite, the HOA president said, we're coming to the end of the fiscal year, have X amount of dollars left. What can we get for that? Absolutely. That is you know you're doing well and you have good relationships. Like whenever
Mhm.
they
Whenever
basically
they throw that out at you, and also just so you know, sometimes on that they just you got to ask them, because that's a two-part thing. It might be that they have to have the money allocated, not necessarily spent. And other times they have to actually have it spent. So
right.
if you can't fit them in on by that time frame, because they'll call up and say, "Oh, by the way, we've got $20,000 that we have to spend. We have to spend it by the end of the week." And I mean, but can they just allocate it? If they can allocate it towards that job, then you can, put it off a little bit. If it has to be done, then you can't. But just keep that in mind.
Lisa just mentioned something about budgets too. But Lisa Seitz just commented, said it got bad quick. Lisa, I'm glad y'all are okay. Luckily, all the water stayed outside. So good. I'm glad to know y'all didn't have any damage up there. Yeah.
So if you've tried to reach out to the Power Wash Store, Pennsylvania, and they haven't responded, just know that they got that big storm come through. They lost power. Give them just a little bit of time and patience. But I already know Lisa's on top of things, so it won't be much before she gets you taken care of.
Exactly. She's kind of a beast.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a good way. Not that's not an insulting beast at all. Lisa, you're
She's definitely the beauty, between the beauty and the beast side of it. And,
well, Tanya and I are kind of a beauty and a beast team as well. But I mean, I'll tell you what, I'd be really pissed if anybody else calls her beast. I'm only allowed to do that. You can tell she's not.
I'm going to
please don't record this.
Voting on this one.
Please don't record this. So I was saying she was in beast mode in Atlanta. Yes, she was. Man, between her and Christy working that computer in Atlanta, you have never seen two women hustling as hard.
Did you ever notice at any show, Lisa's always the one behind the computer, and she is always kicking butt.
Well, there's also Christy now from Nashville. I think that's gotten Lisa some relief on that, but now it seems like they tag team it and they're just boom, 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 boom. Yeah, they're a dynamic duo. So
I think does that like living proof that women are smarter than men?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, look at here. We got somebody's asking, you have any damage to your house? No damage to Doug's house, but Doug lost trees. In fact, that one behind him. We got the famous Miss Brenda Farley with us.
Miss Brenda, how are you?
Yeah. Rich and Maria.
I'm getting my COVID cough back. If y'all haven't heard that.
Rich is about to tell on me. So, I like this. Tommy saying, love our brains, the smartest guys in the industry. Hell, you need to write our own book and combat the 9-month power washing company that has a book. Yeah. Oh yeah. I love that one. That's some serious freaking hubris right there. You've not even been in business long enough to know if your business is going to be a success, but yet you feel qualified to write a book. I don't know. It blows my mind.
9 months in, you got to be successful then, right?
Jeez, it's amazing. It shocks me. But it's funny. Well, I don't have the time, but I mean, hell, I felt weird about, Doug, you and I, we felt strange about starting Spray Wash Academy 4 years ago. It was like, it was like, wait a minute, hold on. We've been teaching basically almost every class at the U here for the last 4 years. So yeah, I guess we are qualified to do this. So
yeah, people, I mean, the different organizations and the different groups kept reaching out to us to begin with for it. And I mean, it was only a natural transition from what was going on.
Right.
And it's something that was needed. And, I'm happy to have helped.
Well, and that's actually one of the things that I really look forward to owning, the Power Wash Store and finally having some time, some counter time, some quiet time where I'm not managing insane projects and actually having some time to put some thoughts down in a book in these classes that we do for the Academy and for Pro, and writing more and more and more stuff. I mean, I really look forward to doing that. I made a note here when we were talking about, the guy who had the HOA that was wanting to spend some money. It reminds me, because I went on a meeting yesterday for someone, not an HOA, he's a facilities manager, but they were getting their 2022 budgetary numbers. And he said, I need budgetary numbers for exterior, for parking lot. I need 2 or 3 different ways of this parking lot to see where we can fit this budget in here, because I know I'm going to have a certain amount of money. I may not have enough to do the whole parking lot, but I want to do the inside curbs, and then give me one for everything. And it's funny that you mentioned like the different time of the year. And I said, we can, and this is a massive parking lot. This is probably 3 days worth of curbs in this thing. And I mentioned to him kind of what you said earlier with we could do the HOA at a different time. And I said, so we can really kind of cut this as because there's a neighborhood close by this facility. Let's call it Wood South, for lack of a better term. And it's within a mile of this. And I said, and I'm probably in Wood South 2 to 3 times. I have trucks out there 2 to 3 times a week. Large neighborhood of several thousand houses. In fact, that's where I'm actually doing, these HOAs right now. But I told the guy, I said, if we could probably even get a little bit different price in here if you let me do this as fill-in work. If I can send a truck by for 2 hours after they get done over in Wood South, if I can send guys by, if they wash a house and they don't have a heavy schedule that time, or they're in transit. And the guy's like, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see an option for that, because I could do that easier than taking 3 full days off of my schedule to do these curbs. So, another option you can give to your customers about how to price things. John Sacco, am I qualified? That's the question we need to ask ourselves before something like this ever gets done. Amen. 100%. Yes.
And let me go one further on that. I think that's actually a 2-part question, because you have to ask yourself 2 questions. Am I capable of doing it? And am I qualified to do it? Because you can be capable and not qualified. You can be qualified and not capable.
So I say there's probably more qualified but not capable than the other, And
that is where you build relationships with your local competitors.
There we go back to finding a friend to do a job with,
Absolutely.
And
are they qualified and to do the job with you?
Absolutely.
I think, again, we'll go back and I'll pick on David Rivas and Stephen Venturini, that from the discussions that I've had, Stephen does most of the concrete work, and then David does, like the building or whatever. And they've got a good relationship on how they go about those things. And that is the best way to do it, building a relationship with somebody that you can trust and know. And, they can bring in a 3rd or a 4th contractor, whatever, and have all those trucks there. And I think that's impressive to even the property managers.
Yeah. So, interesting question from Chris Klein. Can you be qualified to do something even if you've never done it before?
Absolutely.
I would say yes. I would say absolutely you can be. Now, you may have some learning curves on there. You may have some scheduling issues. You may be getting some on-the-job experience that teaches you an interesting lesson there. But I would say, yeah, I mean, obviously there's certain things. No, Would I go and clean an AC coil without having experience or having taken a class or learned from somebody? No, I wouldn't, but could you, yeah, I think you can. I think you actually can do that. And there's a lot of good education. Prime example. How many people have done water towers after taking the Spray Wash Pro water tower course? I know of at least a dozen people out there that had took the course. They went out and did it. And they said, Ray, we freaking rocked this, or also tanks. We have a class over there about doing storage tanks as well. And people have just, they've never done it before. So, but you know what?
But have you done things that are similar to it? Have you done like things? Have you done?
It's removing algae. It's just removing algae at 150 foot in the air, I mean, so, and then they learned a primer course on how to do it. And so, yeah, I would say absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. If you can be qualified even though you've never done the job, but you've done things similar to, or you've been in the business long enough to know what the sauce does, what it doesn't do, where it does, where it doesn't do, the places that should be sprayed, the places that shouldn't be sprayed, the plant and property protection that you should do, the plant and property protection that you shouldn't do. If you know these things already, you're probably qualified for that job that you've never done. And it's actually a pet peeve of mine sometimes when I see in the groups, and it's something that I got hammered on years ago, and that is when people are talking about, well, I don't know why you're bidding on something when you've never done one. Right. Okay, but before you walked, did you ever walk before? No, you crawled. Okay, but you worked your way up to that walk. You worked your way up to that run. And at some given point in time, you had to run. But you had the basic steps that were getting you towards that run or towards those first steps. And so even though you may have never done one, you may have done enough to make yourself qualified. But I think another thing that holds us back is this little thing right here, this little brain that we have. And we question ourselves sometimes. And so, and which is a good thing. We need to look back and we need to say, am I qualified truly? And am I capable of doing it?
Brenda said, Doug and Raymond have both helped me feel confident and take on bigger jobs. Now I'm able to go do similar things with no questions. And hell, she'll even get on a ladder now. So
she only goes up the second rung, but still she goes up the ladder.
Rusty, how are you doing this evening, buddy? Good to see you out there. Tommy, I think we're at $4.99 a year now on there, and then your second year the renewal is a lot cheaper on there. So Oh, look at that! Just did an air traffic control tower. Took a lot of pointers on the water tower course, and we nailed it. Boom! Love it, love it, love it.
And air traffic control towers are a different animal altogether.
They are. You know, that's not something they shut down and say, "Oh, have at it." You know, they're kind of an essential service there.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and shut down the whole airport for what do you need? 6 hours, 8 hours? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Brenda said she's up to the third rung now. So
yeah.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it.
I'll never forget my best guy at Cajun Softwash when he first started with me. He would get up to the top of an extension ladder, and he would literally put his belly against the top rung and lean way over, and he was just so scared on there. And you know, it was a matter of time and becoming comfortable with what he was doing, to where in the end of it, I mean, I think he's been there probably 6 years, and I mean, he can do anything and everything he wants now. He can whatever he wants. So
Tommy's wanting a senior discount that, so you have to take that up with Doug. He's my enforcer over there. So Rusty, golly, I hope you don't have corona. I'm so sorry if you got it. You know, I actually had I hate to hear that, Rusty. Chris said, you know, that's an improvement, Brenda. You know, honestly, if you think about it, it's 30% more. So it's kind of you know, cool. I had a let's just talk about Corona for a second. So I had a meeting with one of my customers today, long term. I don't mind. I mean, one of my hospital customers, and I do well over 6 figures for my hospitals, and they're in a mess. I mean, they're just in a mess. And I think we're going to start seeing disinfection or sanitizing coming back. I know we're still doing it. We're literally are still sanitizing every week for some customers. These have been, amazing we've been doing it for 1.5 years now, spraying sanitizer out there. That thing, Daniel Howerton is still killing it on sanitizing up in New York. But we were talking about, we were at the hospital, and this is a facilities director for one of the major hospitals here. And he is like, you know what? I get to see the morgue counts. I have to get out here and go up into the COVID wards, for send my guys in there for facilities maintenance in there. He said, it's bad. And not only is it bad, but like today we just hit our highest numbers yet in Tallahassee that we've ever had before. So where you think and this thing typically is going to spike out in the wintertime. Here we are in the summertime and it's spiking. If this trend continues on, it's some scary, scary, scary stuff,
Yeah, we're definitely spiking in our area as well. We've had a lot of cases, but I'm seeing it all over the place. So,
Yep.
But it is one of them things. My personal belief is we're all going to catch it eventually. And Rusty, I'm sorry to hear that you're going through that, but if you're looking for any advice on it, depending on how bad you get, feel free to call me. I'll be happy to talk to you about what it is that I experienced. But I'll let you know that most people that I talk to are experiencing it a little bit differently. My wife, as a matter of fact, she's been telling me the last 2 days her taste is gone again. And, we're both having kind of a little bit of a relapse. If you notice, I'm doing a little bit more coughing than I was doing yesterday. And so we're both kind of having a little, I think, the heat and I've been out here working, the trees here. And a matter of fact, I quit the last 2 days because I'm starting to get sick again. But so if you just need somebody to talk to about what you might go through, I'm happy to work with you, buddy.
It's nice of you to offer that. And Rich and Maria said had to watch radio antennas on the roof. They assisted the people their own people do the windows, also non-peak time. I posted this comment up here and because kind of going back to what we were talking about with the HOAs, something really important to think about is what Rich just mentioned here, peak time. Understand there is a natural traffic flow in
Absolutely.
neighborhoods, in apartment complexes, in townhouse communities. You go into a blue collar apartment complex. So you may have guys coming and going on shift work at all times. You go into a middle class type white collar area. Well, I know that the busy times are going to be from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. That's when everybody leaves. And then they're going to come home from 4:30 till 6 o'clock. And I tell my guys, hey, stop. I don't want you there before 9. And I want you out of that neighborhood by 4:30 every afternoon. Just why are you going to deal with all these houses jam-packed into each other with little one-way, alleyways in back that they get into, to the garages? Just stop, stop this part. And I think that's actually one of the arrogance of contractors that I see so much, especially in some of the, I can't even be politically correct. Some of the dumber groups out there, some of the lower echelon groups, or a lot of the new contractors that don't actually want to improve themselves. I can't be politically correct anymore. I'm sorry. I'm too old for that crap. Well, I'm going to wash. You ain't going to tell me when to wash. I'm going to wash when I want to, because by God, I'm doing this job right here, and it's my job, and I'll do it how the hell I want to, and I ain't listening to you. Well, Jimbo, you're going to be a one and done with that person if that's your attitude.
You're not going to be coming back. That's a fact.
No.
If you even get to finish the job. And if you don't
Exactly.
get
If you
sued on
even
that
get to
job.
finish the job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. John
Yeah,
said he thinks things are going to get shut down middle of September. Absolutely. You have to coordinate working around other contractors. That is something you may have to do.
And you have to keep in mind the language of the other contractors. And I don't mean that in disrespect anybody or anything like that. But if you have a like here right now, we'll have it again right now after this big Ida storm, we're going to have an influx of Spanish speaking people that when you're working on a job and you are trying to get things done, you can't communicate back and forth because they don't understand the language and you don't understand their language. That's an important thing. And who becomes liable at that point?
El Donto Walco Vero. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Chris asked, do I give a discount on HOA for mass work? I absolutely give a discount for mass work. 100%, because one, the equipment, we can work faster too. And I've always pointed this out to guys, I think it's one of the fallacies that I see so many people in the lower echelon groups out there, pressure washing friends. Sorry, was that my outside voice? I made $300 an hour today. Well, okay, you actually washed 2 houses. You worked for you made $600, but what you wound up doing is you wasted half your day rolling up, rolling out. You're not counting your travel time. You're not counting your stretch out, your roll up. You're kind of being insincere, non-sincere, because you're only counting your spray time on doing that. Well, guess what? It cost you time to get to that job. And really on not even on HOAs, but any large commercial, and I don't consider HOAs residential. I could consider them commercial.
Commercial, yeah.
But on any large commercial project, the goal is you roll out in the morning, you roll up in the end of the day, and you're getting just insane amounts of work done. You're not wasting any time. So I might only be doing 225. Hey, buddy, I love you so much. You'd be good for mama tonight, okay?
Come on.
She's fine. See yourself there? You see it? Here.
There he is.
Wants to say hey. Say
Hey,
hey,
buddy.
everybody. See Uncle Doug?
Come on.
All right. I love you.
I love you.
Love you. Good luck with the showing. Hope it goes well. So Brittany's selling her house. So proud of her. I am so proud of her. Anyway, so where I was at with that is that, okay, we may only be at $200 an hour, but the difference is at that $200 an hour, we got a full 8 or 9 hours in there, at that $200, $250, dollars an hour. So yeah.
And we're the same way. If you're going to land a job where you can stay in one location and you can just move around, you can set up between a couple locations and maybe go to this house and then this house, and then the backyard, you can do the back sides of the other house at the same time. It's all about movement and allowing you to do more in less time. They deserve a break for that. That's how I look at it.
Oh, looky here. Our competition has joined us, Mr. Jason Guyman. So
I think Jason goes live here in a little bit. Huh?
Yes, he does. And y'all know that guys, I recommend, King of Pressure Washing, Jason Guyman, one of the few guru people out there, that I recommend. And I think Jason's heart's in the right place. And he's not sitting there telling everybody they're going to be millionaires. I mean, he's really hardcore, keep it real kind of, oh, wait, you want to make $30,000, doing this and then grow into something. He does it. So he's on at 8:00. I love me some Jason. And in fact, that's one of the reasons that we do this show at 7, on Thursday nights. So we don't want to, step on his audience. Chris, he's not a big, you're at 9. Okay. I'm sorry, Jason. Jason said he's at 9. Chris, he is not I don't think he knows how to use Facebook. He's a YouTube guru. Jason, if you want to post a link to your channel, the name of your channel, feel free, out there, Brian Paris brings up an absolutely amazing point right there. And he's talking to Brenda. Hire young, agile people for that stuff. It's not worth getting hurt.
Absolutely.
Seeing her.
You have to know your strengths, know your weaknesses. And Brenda knows that. She knows she doesn't belong up on the roof because she's too afraid of it. Even though she's there, and I think she's done a little bit there. And if she can spray from the ladder, I think she does great. And I love me some Brenda, but she knows that, hey, I gotta team up, or I gotta hire somebody else, or I gotta do something different.
And she's getting a little old too, I mean, sorry, Brenda.
And cantankerous. Getting old. She's getting cantankerous.
She is getting cantankerous, isn't she? But no, I mean, it's 100%, you hire to your weaknesses. Don't hire to your strengths, hire to your weaknesses, and absolutely let these young bucks get up there and do this stuff. Brenda said she blocked us both. So, Chris, I don't know if you saw that, but I put that up there for you, pressurewashhelp.com YouTube. So, no, Brent, y'all know we absolutely love Brenda, and she's amazing. Jim Gamble said, we charge for deep cleaning, filtration, and speed. Our competitors often quote 10 to 15 days. We do it with 4 days of filtering all the water at 80, undercutting, but they don't win the contract. Time and quality are king. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Jim. Time
is money.
Quality are king. Yes, absolutely. And you're not going to win it. So there was a guy the other day that made a comment about how high Crystal Clean was on bids and on one of the Facebook posts. And he actually said, and it was kind of funny. It was, gosh, Crystal Clean is really, really high. They were at $75,000 on a job, where me and another contractor were at $25,000 on a job.
So who's the smart one?
Yeah. Again, so they have to work a third less than you, or 2/3 less than you to make the same money. I mean, but again, they can also bring like 30 trucks to bear on a project if they needed to. So,
well, that goes back to what I was saying earlier, about sometimes companies want to deal with bigger companies. They don't want to deal with small companies because of what they can get. And it also goes back to something that I said, even going back many years, back to my home inspection days. I remember back when, we were several home inspectors in the same area. I was ASHI certified, American Society of Home Inspectors. Anyhow, so we would have monthly meetings, right? And we would talk pricing. We wouldn't,
You're not price fixing, but you're talking.
Yeah, we weren't fixing, but one guy was at least double. When I say at least, because he was at least twice, but maybe more on a lot of his jobs. And we would make fun of him, right? We'd make fun of this guy for being so overpriced. He's not getting the work we're getting. And then one day we were all sitting around, we're chatting, and and we're like, dude, I just got to ask you, why are you doing that? You're killing yourself, man. You could be getting a lot more work if you just lowered your prices a little bit. And he laughed at all of us at the table. And he's like, look at you guys. I work half as much as you do, and I make more than you do.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, who's stupid? And that sunk in. That's stuck with me ever since then. He
So,
works half as much as I do, yet makes more than I do.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and part of that is your specialization in this industry or whatever industry you're in. Jason has an amazing quote here. Find what you're good at and throw gas on it. I love that. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, yeah. Hey, if you're successful at something, keep doing it. You know, you and I have talked about this before, you know, the time, like one of the reasons that people see you know, I'm gonna do a very scientific chart here.
Now, wait a minute. Before you do that scientific chart, I want to scold Jason. Jason, I got to scold you. The reason being is because we do this show 1 hour so that we make sure we're off in time for you, right? And now you just let him know that he has an extra hour.
Oh, yeah, horrible, bad.
Horrible, bad.
This is what most people's production looks like right here. And what we do is, okay, we're slow, so we market. Now all of a sudden we get busy. Now we're doing all these jobs. We forget to do the marketing, so we fall down to here. Then a month later, we're like, oh shit, I have no business. So we market, and then we fall off again. That happens with so much. You know, Jason says throw gas on it. You and I use the comment of keep your foot on the gas. You should never back off on your marketing, especially during the busy times on that. You should maybe you reduce your budget a little bit on your AdWords spend and stuff, but keep going on there, you know, because what happens is then you get your peaks and valleys. So speaking of that, of the bad driver, Scott has joined us.
Hey. Crash anything lately, did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott, we know that you didn't do it.
Oh, you mean, hold on. Oh, Scott's pissed that you didn't offer him a bedroom. Like, so you want to live like in a shell of a house with no power?
I can't offer Scott a bedroom, even if we do have power and all. I can't have that sexiness in the house. I don't think I can control myself.
Yeah. Let's see here. PPW just came to our town. Grateful you're no longer the highest. I mean, and it's great. And think about PPW. PPW, their whole they don't have offices everywhere. They just basically have really good SEO and refer work out in so many of the markets. I mean, you can find a PPW listing in Tallahassee. PPW ain't in Tallahassee, you know. Chris said he's not the $99 guy. Other contractors are not charging enough for my overhead. You know what? You know, and I know, Chris, you've been in business for a minute, you know, I mean, a while. I don't mean a minute. That's Southern you've been in business for a minute. You know what your market is. You know exactly where you're supposed to be at. Your prices are your prices. I mean, I have to charge a certain amount. Doug had to charge a certain amount. You have to charge a certain amount, you know, and you know that. You have a successful business. You've been doing it. And that's one of the things I hate whenever people say, how much should I charge for this? Because I don't know your situation. I have no idea what you look like. Yeah.
I'll even go this route, Chris. And I'll say that you're going to have, well, three different types of contractors out there that are going to be giving you the advice to your pricing. The first one is going to be the guy that wants you to be overpriced, and he's going to tell you, "Oh man, your prices are really, really low. Man, you need to get your prices up there," because he's priced lower than you are and wants to try to steal jobs from you. Then you're going to have the honest contractor that tells you straight up what it is that they charge, or where your pricing is compared to theirs, or whatever the case may be. Then you're going to have the opposite guy that's going to say, "Oh man, your prices are too high. You need to lower your prices, get your prices down there, and be able to get your work." Because all he's trying to do is keep his prices higher and let you guys all do that race to the bottom and go out of business, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't allow somebody else to dictate what your pricing is. That's why when I talk about pricing and I talk about closing ratios. I talk about closing ratios more than I talk about pricing. And the reason for me is very simply that your closing ratios, in my opinion, are what should dictate your pricing, right? If you're closing too much, which to me, if you're closing over 60%, you're closing too much. And so
low.
you need to change your pricing, right? And if you're closing below 40%, well, again, we need to look at our pricing again. So for me, it's that 40 to 60 range is what you should be looking at. And if you're below 40, your prices are probably too high. If you're above 60, your prices are probably too low. That, to me, is what should dictate your pricing, not what Ray says or what Doug says or anybody else.
And we're getting comments on here, you know, Al and Chris, they're agreeing, you know, more work means more marketing. Absolutely. Reinvest that money into your company. I mean, avoid those peaks and valleys. Facebook user, I came from the retail business, was very successful. Boss asked me when he marketed. He said, was always, but mostly when I was busy. Why? People were spending money. 100%, you know?
And you have money to spend.
Scott said you were just jealous of the size of his truck. So,
yes, that was a beautiful truck. I admit it was a beautiful truck. More beautiful in the ditch, but or more beautiful. Sorry, more beautiful out of the ditch. But you know, hey,
oh, that was cold. That was cold.
I tell you, I don't even know how the guy put the thing in the ditch. That was the bad one. I don't know how he got that thing in the ditch. That was bad.
Now we've actually had people ragging on each other. We've got Jason and Al ragging on each other, like on our channel, like sitting here. So this is just great. I love it. So I love it. Truth seeker. Let's see. I had to take pride in having a 90% close rate. I couldn't figure out why I had to make 7 days a week to make ends meet. Absolutely. 100% truth seeker.
That right there is that's the gospel right there.
And that's it. Really is.
Yeah.
I mean,
man, I am so busy. I'm doing so good. I'm closing 90%. I'm working 8 days a week. I'm you know, but I'm chasing the dollar every single day. Yeah. Why? Because your prices are too low. If you're at 90%, brother, you are definitely too low on your prices.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, I will say that closing ratios also depend on if you are, if I go out and I sell a job, I'm going to close, my closing ratio will be higher if I go out than
100%.
if somebody else.
100%. I mean, I 100% agree with you. If you let me get out there and meet with a customer, oh, your ass is smoked. I mean, seriously. I mean, you're most likely not going to, you know, it's funny. I had Henry's a little referral. You know, I send Henry here in Tallahassee referral. Henry loves to pick on me and go, oh, I closed this house, you know, higher than you bid for it, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he sent me one, and he sent me a picture of this house that I had sent him a picture of back in March. And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't remember the house. I was like, you realize that I probably bid 1,000 residential properties since March. I don't remember that, you know, I mean, I hate to
yeah.
Alan Paul, what is he saying? I had to switch to Ray since I was no longer referred to as a Facebook user. There it is. It's almost as bad as employee 7.
Good, Alan. I'm glad you did that. It's good to know who's saying something.
Charlie disagrees with us about something. So now here is
that's not allowed, is it?
No, you're not allowed to. No, sorry, Charlie. Go away.
You gotta start over again.
Sorry. Now, so Tommy is saying, here's a big issue. Angie's and Home is setting a national average, but they don't factor in insurance price increases. So when the consumer sees these, they assume that's what they should pay. Tom, I completely agree. I 100% agree. I've seen those ridiculous, you know, graphs and metrics they have of how much should I pay for roof cleaning? some of the worst. I mean, every one of us should get on there and say, this has absolutely no bearing on the market whatsoever, and you people don't know what you're talking about. And I hate to say it, there's already I'm stepping in. I'm maybe stepping in some crap here, but I have a feeling there's already tends to be some lower priced people that are doing the Angie's List and Home Advisor stuff. So those numbers are actually even skewed lower than they really are.
Right.
They're getting data from their clients because so many times the Angie's List and Home Advisor are already dealing with the lower priced contractors.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, they're actually easy to get past. And we talk about them in a couple of our classes on how to get past that. The thing about it is with Angie's List and actually it's really, I think it's more Home Advisor. Home Advisor, well, they both have a range, if you would. And they'll say, like, let's just have the argument that it's somewhere between $200 and $800 to get your roof cleaned, right? And if somebody brings that up to me, I'm very quick to combat that, depending on, okay, so what's the pitch of the roof that they're talking about? Well, we don't know. It's the average. Okay. What's the algae infestation on that on their average roof? Well, we don't know what the average is. Okay. I know that they're trying to boil it down to the averages, but they're talking about something that's nationwide. They're talking about the way that they do it. They will tell you that they don't sell lists and all that, which is hogwash. It's part of the reason that they're being sued, right? And so you can take that information and say, they are selling it to, they sell all of their bids to multiple contractors who now have to go in and fight for this bid.
And then compete. And you've got to
they don't want to do a good job anymore.
You have to pay to compete against each other.
Absolutely.
So Charlie has a point here. And I think he has a very good point. Because I'm the same way, but it's Charlie. I don't think we're disagreeing at all. We have a high close rate with high pricing, but we don't focus on marketing. We focus on customer retention and referrals.
Absolutely.
100%. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons that we do so many repeat business. That's one of the reasons that we give so much awesome service, because what's cheaper? What's the best customer to have? The repeat customer. I mean, you want to talk about, one of the buzzwords is the CAC, the CAC, customer acquisition cost. Your customer acquisition cost of your customers you already have is a lot lower than customer acquisition of a new customer.
So you're saying that's Charlie, that's Wash Pro there?
Yes.
Yeah. So look, I'll go in and I'll say that I completely agree, Charlie. If it's where we're talking about, and this is where it's good to have these discussions so that we can help clarify even some of the things that we say. And that is, a lot of this we were talking about when you're doing marketing, and you're talking especially about new customers, right? New customers where you've got multiple bids. If you're talking about referrals or you're talking about repeat customers, absolutely. My close ratio on referrals or repeat customers, repeat customers, I'm going to say I'm probably 95 to 98% close ratio, right? Because they're already my customer. They already know me. They already know my work. And on referrals, I should be much higher, 75 to 85%, probably where I'm going to be.
Exactly. At. I mean, I've said this before, that if we're going after a repeat customer of mine or something that I want, my close rate's going to be 95%. Hell, if it's a job that I want, I could afford, at our production levels, I could afford to lose money. I could afford to actually do that job. And in fact, there's been a couple of guys that I've gone up against that I just don't like them very much, that I've done the job where not making the profit that I want to, even breaking even, just to make sure that they didn't get it. Because, I wanted to kind of speak it, but, so hold on. James is saying, how come my comments aren't the screen? You're offended. This is literally the first time that I've seen your name, James. So I don't know where you're commenting at, but So by God, dear God, let's have the big man's comments on the screen right here. So
It has nothing to do with what Ray said about you before the live. Nothing.
yeah, exactly. I said, oh, if James comments, we're not posting him up there.
Yeah, look,
The
a lot
funny
of
part
times
is, Chris, that you can't.
we had that.
Chris wants to
Go
come out and work a day. Neither one of us own companies anymore. We're both semi-retired. We both sold our companies because we were really good at what we did. So somebody is saying, and it says Facebook user, my profit margins are largest with us doing 3 jobs a day than some of my competitors 7 to 8 jobs a day. And in my opinion, the quality of our work is better because we take our time to do things right the first time. Relationships are the key.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely.
Chris saying 80%.
And not only that, I would rather work on one job and at $1,500 than work on 2 jobs at $1,500.
Yeah.
I'm going to make more job at one job. I'm going to make more profit on one job at $1,500 than I am 2 jobs at $1,500.
That's Todd that's showing up as Facebook user. Awesome.
Look, just
So
so you guys know,
you know,
I don't know why, but sometimes we don't see certain comments.
Yeah,
I had somebody ask me before, how come I never show up? I don't know why you don't. And then sometimes they come up as Facebook user, and we just don't know who that is.
You know, it's funny. I mean, so Jim Bob, we're the same way. I mean, so much of our stuff is referrals, and like literally the quote is just a formality. I mean, we're going to get the job no matter what, you know, as long as we're in reason. So.
And that's where we always talk about building relationships, right? Building relationships are what keep those jobs coming in and closing those jobs. Even with Cajun Softwash right now, they get phone calls because of the relationships that were built. And I have had phone calls that have been like, hey, you know, I know you don't own the company anymore, but, you know, should I get a bid someplace else, or, you know, should I not, kind of thing. I'm like, absolutely not. I mean, you're still dealing with the exact same company. The exact same guys are coming out. When was the last time I washed your house? I mean, it was years and years and years ago. My guys came out and washed your house because they're very professional. They're trained at what they do. They know what they're doing. And so that's what gets it, is the guys, not necessarily me at that point.
It's the guys, it's the office, it's the follow-up, it's the service, it's the lady on the phone or the man on the phone. It's everything. It's the total package of all of it. It's what it is, you know. I mean, it's you know, John is saying so many splash and dash, spray and pray videos online that it's contagious. Absolutely. You know, so many guys out here, and this sounds, I don't mean this to sound arrogant, and it's going to come across as arrogant, but there's so many people out here with their wash companies, and they think, oh, I've got a modicum of success, and they're at 75, you know, 100, you know. I saw a TikTok of some guy, and he's got 2 Porsches in his driveway. Younger guy. I've made $100,000 in the past 6 months pressure washing. Both of these Porsches are mine. Okay, dude, the $100,000 is not that much money. I mean, it is, but at the same time, it's not. And I don't mean
$1 million is not that much money.
Yeah, trust me. I'm realizing that right now. I mean, yeah, Chris made a comment, you know, that he saw that, you know, and this little punk is bragging that he's got, and especially if you're pissing off your $100,000 a year with payments on 2 different Porsches, you're not going to have money for a long, I mean, you will not have that money that you're making for long. And I'll tell you what, you'll get yourself head up in debt. Debt is a bunch of people have seen that TikTok. You know what? Desperation is a stinky cologne. And you start lading getting yourself laden with debt, you will get desperate and you will lose everything you had.
When you get desperate, your quality and your control all go down. And it reflects, and it's what puts you out of business. Why do most businesses fail within the first 6 7 years? Why do they fail? You know, especially they start off, they're doing so good and they're rocking, they're kicking butt, they're making money, they're doing all this, and then they're doing all that. Number one, they start to burn out because they're working too much. Number two, their quality starts to drop off because they get into that desperation mode in some of it, right?
And again, they just think that, you know, that, and yes, $100,000, 150 is a ton of money with a guy with a DeWalt. I mean, it's good, but you're not going to be able to sustain that. I promise you, you're not. And then here's the funny part is the guy was pointing to the DeWalt in his garage and talking about how he made, and I can't remember if it was 100 or 150. And the first thing that I can think of is how much more could you have made if you actually had a professional rig and were efficient on there? Because by the way, the dude with one rig, with one hooked up kind of nice rig, really ought to be at about $200,000 to $225,000. And we've seen that happen over and over and over again. And don't tell me it can't happen. And I don't give a shit if you're in Miami or if you're in Maine, but one guy and a helper on a rig should be able to do 200 to 225. So basically what Porsche guy is saying is that, you know, he's what, about 40% lower than he should be. He's slacking off 40%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when I think about some of these things, I think about, believe it or not, I think about Eric and Lisa. I think about Brenda Farley. And the reason that I do is very simply that you look at the truck that they started with and what they're running today, what they're able to build and what they're able to, I mean, some beautiful, beautiful rigs over people that are doing it and doing it right, know their value, understand where they come from, understand that, hey, you know what? It does not do me any good at all to go out and bill out $200 when it costs me 180 to do the job.
Yeah,
or they don't understand that it's they think, oh no, man, I went out, I did this job and I made $200, but they don't understand their costs. They don't understand what it actually costs them to do the job. Just like you said earlier, they don't think about there is a cost associated with moving from job site A to job site B. There's a cost.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a cost just getting up in the morning.
It's not a cost that's paying you any money. It's a cost that's costing you money, you know. Ron just said he had open heart surgery to replace a valve this summer, and hey, God bless you. The guys went out and did everything without supervision, 95% glowing compliments. You're raising them right. You absolutely are. And sometimes it takes something like that. We don't realize how good we've actually trained our guys. And that's what we have to do. I've been some of the guys that we coach, I've been telling them, look, I said, unhook the trailer. Tell your guys that you've got to go around the corner to do estimates. You know, if you, you know, golly, I mean, and then go drive around the corner and come back in an hour and a half and see how they've done, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even if you sit in the truck.
Charlie's Porsche is an F350 6.7 turbo diesel flatbed. Love it.
Yep.
Does he have insurance? Is he paying taxes? No. Mommy and daddy paying the expenses. Jose. Jose.
Hey, Jose Aguilar.
Love me some Jose. You know, you heard about the Hispanic fireman, right?
Talking to me or him?
Yeah, no, I just say you heard about the Hispanic fireman. You had Jose and Jose B.
Yeah, Jose and Jose B. I love the all the things coming out about the tacos. You know what I mean?
The what?
Let's talk about this and let's talk about that.
I haven't seen that. I have not.
It's Taco Tuesday. Let's talk about HOAs.
That actually does. I'm going to tell a joke, and it's not going to be as off color as the one that I told the other night. On with the huge convention, which was an absolutely epic joke, but I'm not going to do that here. So, By the way, what time did David or Jason's is at 9, not 8. So
Yeah,
we're not.
that's why I told him he messed up. He shouldn't have done that. Then we'd be off by now.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So you had this lady, and she had identical twins. She gave them up for adoption whenever they were infants. And then whenever she was, and she had, but before she named them, she named them Amal and Juan. Well, as she got older, she's kind of wondering what happened, and she looked them up, and she got into contact with them. And they said, well, golly, we'd love to actually meet you. We understand. We'd love to hook up and meet. So they had set up a time at a restaurant, and Amal was running late. But so she got there, and she met with Juan. She saw that. She talked to Juan. But his identical twin. He was running late, and then after about 20 minutes, she said, got up, she hugged him. She's like, God, it was so good to see you. And, I got to go though. I got plans. I'm heading out. And he's like, don't you want to meet, your other son, my brother? And she said, nah, well, you've seen Juan, you've seen them all. It was, I'm losing you're down.
Oh, no, sorry about that. I don't know how I muted it, but I was just saying that was a good joke, Paul. I appreciate that one.
Oh, you just called me Paul. Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Ray. I meant
words.
Yeah.
The American way or the Mexican way. Palm tree. I have one sign across HOA, had it there for 2 months, made me $7,000. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have been on for an hour and 21.
Yes, sir. Well, Doug, as always, it's a pleasure, and God bless you out there, and good luck. And
if anybody wants to come and cut some trees and some branches, and I could go show you the other one in the backyard, feel free. You got chainsaw and will travel. Hey, come on.
So, what size generator did you get?
Well, actually, day one I got what I had to get because it was all they had, and it was a Craftsman like 5200 or something like that. Right. And what a piece of junk! Really hard to start. Wouldn't even kept tripping the 20 amp GFI on it, just trying to run our refrigerator. Oh man, that thing was horrible. So I ended up they ended up getting in some Furman generators, and I think it's I don't remember what size it is, but it was bigger. It's a I guess they call it a tri-fuel. So it'll run on gasoline or it'll run on propane. I'm actually going to buy the kit to convert it to gas or to natural gas, because we have natural gas, and then I don't have to go keep running around trying to buy gasoline or propane, which has been a huge mess. It's a mess here trying to get anything done.
Oh yeah, no, that's what happens at hurricanes. I mean, supply chains just crush. So yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So have you wired it into your house yet? Have you taken a breaker and wired it into your house?
No. First of all, that you can't get the parts and supplies to do that right now, and I have pretty extensive electrical knowledge, and that's something I've never done. And so if you don't do it right, it's very easy to cause a fire. And
no, it absolutely is. Yeah. And you got to make sure. Yeah. I had the creator of the proportioner do mine just before Hurricane Hermine hit me. And there's kits you can buy, but then also we didn't have the kit because they had sold out. But you throw the main breaker so it doesn't backfeed through the lines. But I was lucky. I had a 220. Hot tub outlet. So we unplugged, where the hot tub was, and it was that box coming into it. So it worked out real well. So
I might look at it tomorrow. I told her it just depends on
Yeah,
if
if
I
you
can
want me
get
to show you, if you want me to send you the diagrams and stuff on there, I'll be happy to.
Go
And
for it.
obviously, holler at Tim. Tim can.
I don't have the internet to look it up on YouTube and find some YouTube gurus, you know.
yeah, because
I do it on my phone, but you know, when you get old, you know, vision kind of goes.
I know you get a little gray in your get a little gray in your. You know, my goatee is actually officially grayer than yours at this
Well,
point.
yeah, but I was getting ready to say, so when you go full gray, that just means that you've moved to the senile point. And so when you've got the dark patch right here, that's where you've entered the Einstein era, and you're really smart. So
two copper, two copper wires and a fork will do the job. Buy my book.
there you go,
Oh, Nick has joined us here at the very end.
Nick. Just as we're getting ready to head out, you do that intentionally.
I got people on Facebook saying hi to people on YouTube. I love it.
That's fun. I've been what? Great since
He's been
I was
gray.
17.
I'm assuming he meant gray. So
Oh, great.
yeah.
My brother was gray. I mean, he had turned gray probably. I mean, his mid-20s, he was fully gray. I think it was about his mid-20s, he was fully gray. And yeah. Yeah, the gold patch. There you go. I think that's what he's saying. That's not. Oh, that's not Oro. That's. What is he saying? I can't see it.
Oh, look. Oh, my God. Nick Weissenberger talking about his freaking hair. Oh, I had gray at 16. Mr. freaking low rent Richard Gere, who just has amazing hair. Just whatever. Just Nick, stop.
Full head of hair.
A full head of hair. He's got the whole sexy gray, like salt and pepper thing. I've got the whole sexy. Okay, wait. It's not sexy at all. It's bald.
Well, but wait a minute. That's almost like a mohawk.
If the hair fell out of your dog, would you want to pet it? Just saying.
Well, hey, just another thing. So, ironically, Monday, it had a little rainstorm before we went live, which allowed me to take a shower underneath the valley of my roof. Well, guess what? Today, right before the live, we had a rainstorm, and I was able to take a shower underneath the valley of my roof again today. It's a little bit nicer than taking the shower in the shower. We do. I have water. I have a well, so I run the well pump, but it's very cold, and so underneath the valley is just a nicer shower.
That's nice, yeah. Josh is saying he started going gray when he started soft washing. Must be the SH. Yeah. Ron says I have a reverse mohawk. Yeah. Yeah. I've never had good hair. I've never been like you.
That's my neighbor Steve coming up. There you go.
Oh, hey Steve.
Hey, how you doing?
And the dog. All right. Well, that means I got to go.
All right, buddy. Hey, guys, thanks for watching us. We appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.
Appreciate y'all. If y'all need anything, again, reach out to us.
Exactly.